who likes it, then I'll probably shave it off.
It's dirty.
No, it takes a long time and it never looks great.
Does it bug you?
It's been a year. It's been a year since we've seen something. It's been a year.
Been a year.
What are you doing here? Didn't you retire? Can't stay away.
Glad you shaved.
Yeah, so's my wife. So am I.
And still fighting the good fight over there.
There it is.
I didn't look at it.
Give him credit. He's starting a new thing, no shave January.
Yeah. We said every time his wife asks him, he's going to extend it 2 days. And so every time she asks, she has on 2 days.
I appreciate that. It's healthy for a marriage.
I mean, it's something. I don't know. It's a hell of a
Everybody ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first monthly meeting of the Ada Township Planning Commission. Excuse me, the Ada Township Board of Trustees for January 2026. Could we all stand, please, and recite the Pledge of Allegiance and take a moment of silence? Amen. Would our clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Damstra.
Here.
Trustee Carter.
Here.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Here.
Trustee Prose.
Here.
Treasurer Moran.
Here.
Clerk DeMarco here. Supervisor Korth.
Here. Thank you. We have our agenda that's been presented to us tonight. There's no last-minute changes or
No.
at all. Okay, so the agenda as presented, would someone move to approve?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have our support. Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. I'd like to, because there's a lot of items here, I'd like to take it in 2 steps. Could we do the approval of the board minutes? We have regular meeting minutes for December 8th, 2025. And we have 3 sets of closed session minutes dated July 14th, 2025, August 11th, 2025, and November 24th, 2025. We additionally have a Planning Commission and Township Board joint meeting minutes dated December 18th, 2025. So if anyone has any questions or comments on that, now would be the time. Otherwise, could someone move to approve this group of minutes?
You don't say it, Bob, I'm gonna.
No, Julius will take care of
Oh, is he?
it. Yeah. I move approval of the township board minutes, as well as the closed session and all these things. Joint meeting as well.
Support.
All right, so we have the motion and we have the support for the 5 sets of minutes that were listed at the beginning here. All in favor of the approval of these minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Did you?
Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, so now we'll move on to receive and file the various reports and communications. I'm just going to take the time to just read these because there is a number of them. The Covered Bridge Park Progress Meeting, number 8 minutes from December 2nd. The Covered Bridge Park Progress Meeting, number 9 minutes, dated December 16th. Parks, Recreation, and Land Preservation Meeting minutes from October 16th. The Planning Commission meeting minutes from November 20th. The Thornapple River Pedestrian Bridge Pre-Construction Meeting minutes from November 20th. There's a letter from
Should be
Carmen DeSeno, concern about the Lowell Data Center, dated December 8th, 2025. The Eagle, EGLE Sanitary Survey Water Report Letter, dated December 23rd, 2025. the spongy moth egg mass survey results letter from Aquatic Consulting Services dated December 5th, 2025, and the revenue and expense report as of December 31st, 2025. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this list of items?
Just a comment on number 8, the spongy moth egg mass survey results. Love seeing that. That's impressive. That's a lot of hard work and money, and it's effective.
Okay. Anyone else?
I have one comment on item number 6, the Lowell, the proposed Lowell data center. I think that at some point we should further address this because I've gotten several calls and inquiries about that. So I did note that it was on the agenda for this meeting, but it's just something that we should really keep on our radar.
Okay, thank you. Would someone entertain a motion to approve these files, the various reports and communications?
Motion to approve the various reports and communications filed in the last month of 2025.
Support.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to the approval of warrants, the Township General warrants. Mr. Moran, will you please share that with us?
Thank you, Supervisor Korth. Happy New Year, everybody. Tonight, Monday, January 12th, 2026, we have hand checks that total $790,878.23 and warrants that total $566,789.14 for a total of all hand checks and warrants of $1,357,667.37.
Okay. Anyone have any questions or comments? I mean, our packet's quite comprehensive. There's a lot of detail that you're able to look at. I didn't find myself anything that was specific that I wanted to ask about. Anyone else? Okay, hearing and seeing no one, would someone entertain a motion to approve the Township General warrants in the amount of $1,357,667.37?
I move approval of the warrant report for Monday, January 12th, 2026, in the amount of $1,357,667.37.
Second.
All right, so we have our motion, we have our support. This is a roll call vote. Would our clerk please call the roll?
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose,
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
You said aye too as well.
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I was looking at the next item. I just wanted to make sure. All right, so that motion carries unanimously. The next item is to consider the Hall Street Lift Station and Sanitary Sewer Force Main Project Pay Application Number 5 from Kaminga and Rudvo in the amount of $85,000. I see you're up here to talk with us, sir, so please go ahead.
Is that good?
That's good.
I can sit down as well.
No, please, Steve, go ahead, thank you.
Trying to keep it moving.
That's right.
Steve Gronable, Moore and Brugink, you're still your township engineer for a few more days yet, I believe. You have in front of you pay request number 5 for the Hall Street Lift Station. This is for stored materials on the control panel that will be installed. It's for $85,000, and that's everything on this pay estimate. As soon as Consumers Energy is done with their work, they will proceed to put the control panel in and hopefully be done ahead of the extended completion date.
The only question I have, Steve, is that control panel, where is it located right now?
I believe it's at Camingan Road Boots.
Okay.
We have
So
seen
it's-
the invoice for it.
Yeah, I saw the invoice, but I just want to make sure where it is, because sometimes weird things happen, like a fire happens and it gets burned up, and I don't want to buy two, so.
Mhm.
as long as they're responsible for it.
So basically, you're saying we haven't received it yet, based on
We
that
haven't
remark,
received it yet.
even though we're just paying cash in advance, so to speak. Okay.
In many respects, we are, but if we had it here or we had it somewhere else, we'd have to make sure it had insurance on it, but being as, it's still at their facility, and you've seen it, we got pictures of it,
Mm-hmm.
it's insured. My insurance worry would be if they had a trailer sitting out, or if it was brought to the fire station and the firehouse burned down, who would be buying another one?
Mm-hmm. Safe from getting hit by any errant vehicles, though, from the side of the road. But yes, understand the concern, but
Anybody?
So who is insuring it right now? Is it ours or
Contractor.
theirs?
contractor
A&Rs.
is,
Okay,
contractor is, yes.
thank you.
As long as it's at their facility. I'll move approval of the pay app. I think it's in the amount of 80,000,
85.
85,000.
85, going from memory.
So we have a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Dan. Dan Carter moved with Bob Probst as the lead. Okay, this is also a roll call vote, so Clerk DeMarco, you please call the roll.
Supervisor Korth,
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Treasurer Moran,
Aye.
Trustee Prose,
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Carter,
Aye.
Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, the next one is to consider the Covered Bridge Park pay application number 4 from Caterburg Verhaeg in the amount of $132,949.04.
Good evening, everyone. Pierce Pansky, Progressive Companies. Pay application number 4 is here. It covers a multitude of things, including flag poles, installation of the helical piers that are going to hold up the restroom building and canopy footings, and demolition of the building. If you haven't been able to tell, the front of the canopy of the restroom building's been taken down, so they could do the removals of the sidewalks, so they could get the piers in. And then also the cover the cost, materials, and delivery of the canopy structure from Sear Force Products. So that's the 4 big items on the pay application, and that's about it. Yep.
Do we have any other comments by staff about this at all? Okay. Does anyone have any specific questions on this?
Can I ask? It's not a question, it's a statement. I'm beginning to get a little bit nervous. Every meeting, we have more change orders. I'm really beginning to wonder, I'm beginning to feel that maybe, just maybe, was the spec good enough, written deep enough, was the investigation? I get it with underground stuff, but I don't get it with, when it comes to putting in support structures and piers and things of that nature. Some of the preliminary stuff was done, and it just seems to me, I'm just gonna be honest, I just would really like to see him slow down and or stop.
Construction of the project?
No.
Oh.
Change orders.
Okay.
Change orders. I mean, every meeting there's more. And it leads me to think, maybe it wasn't spec'd appropriately. Maybe we didn't put together a good enough look at. Granted, I get the underground because we didn't know. But I just am getting tired of seeing them. What are we on, 7, 8, 9 of them on a project already?
I don't know off the top of the head.
I do.
I think it's 7.
7?
I think we're at 7 right now.
No, I understand. Change orders are annoying. They're annoying for us, they're annoying for the contractor, they're annoying for everybody, but they are part of the process to make sure that the project gets done and completed properly. I will say, typically, I don't go in from a board for change orders. Usually it's a project manager for a city or township, so it's a very different process. So oftentimes, it's tough, because like a lot of these things are highly detailed and technical, and there are things that we think have to happen. We, in Progressive, there's no benefit for us to do any change orders. And I think at the end of the day, they're just part of the process. And unfortunately, Unfortunately, we have to come to you and bug you with them all the time, because that's the process, but it is something that we can take care of, and, you know, it's part of the reason why they're an agency, it's part of the reason the project happens, and they're really just there to make sure it all is successful in the end. It's not uncommon how much we're adding, or how much we're doing, it's just a matter of you have to COL.
Peter,
It-
specifically, one of the things trustee Pros had asked, and I know we had talked a little bit about it when we had chatted before the admin committee considered the last one, but the question about why the structure wasn't designed for a certain spec, can you touch on the proprietary nature of that? And no matter how it would have been designed, it would have been essentially guessing to the point until there was a known contractor for or a supplier.
Yes, okay. So if I'm too technical, someone just raise their hand or something, and I'll try to simplify it. So what happened was, during the design process, we had the canopy of the structure and the restroom building. Now typically, we're expecting those to be like cylindrical footings. You might see them as like giant cardboard tubes at Menards or Home Depot or something like that. So in that process, we had the geotechnical come back to us and say, hey, based upon your soil report, you need to have helical piers, which are long tubes you screw into the ground to a certain point where they have enough pressure to hold up heavier structures. So this was late. This was during the bidding process. Our geotechnical came back and said, hey, you need this. Caught us off guard. But at that point in time, we had to make sure that the bid was fair and even. So what we did is we took our best guess and made a helical pier design. So four of these piers and a big concrete cap on top. So to make it even and fair to all the bidders, that they'd have one specific thing to bid. Because we don't want one person to bid something huge and expensive, someone's bid something really small and different. We made one standardized size. Now we knew that that wasn't going to be exactly what matched the actual finished product on the set of plans we have to validate through the contractor and through the company doing the helical piers. So what happens then is Caterberg won the bid. They bid on that design we have, which I believe was 5x5 concrete top with the 4 piers down. Through that process, they hired their subcontractor who did the piers and did the cap, and they hired a geotechnical consultant, just like we had originally. But they came back and said, hey, based upon the loads, which we also didn't know the loads either, that was another factor on this, so the weight has support was brought by the canopy manufacturer. They have that proprietary, it's their information. So with that load, with your soils, and with the piles you have, the 5x5 isn't enough. They need to be 6.5 by 6.5. So therefore, through the whole process, we end up getting at the right answer. Unfortunately, it's 1.5 by 1.5 feet, a little bit extra concrete around. That means a two-day job, 2 pours, so it became more expensive. So that's how we validated our design through the whole process when we didn't have time or couldn't make a fair bid by trying to be exactly specific on the original design plans. So it's kind of like a design build, which is verified through the actual forces and actual loads it needs to hold.
That was my question when we were going through the previous analysis of this. Like, why did we go from 5x5 or 5x5 to 6.5 by 6.5?
Yep.
So you just re-explained that again. But in my mind, I can't help wondering, and I hope you're not offended by this, is where was this assessment, or why wasn't this assessment put in place prior to the whole development of the project? Because these are big numbers, and I agree. And throughout the rest of the change orders that I've seen in my time here, that's the same question that I ask.
That's fine. No, it totally is. So through the process, our geotechnical was just slow getting to us, essentially. So we had planned on having your standard foundations, and it could have been caught earlier, but at the same time, throughout the whole process, we wouldn't have known the load that has to be required based upon the canopy design. The canopy design is proprietary, and they wouldn't give us that because they wouldn't do their submittals and their calculations until they got paid, which is a quirk of the company we went through. So essentially, we never knew the complete load expected to be handled until they did their calculations. We got a 170-page submittal that has all the calcs on it. That gave us the forces. But we could guess, but we couldn't get the exact numbers from them until later on. And with this being a unique structure that's connected to a building, not just a freestanding structure, it wasn't easily readily available either, too. That was one of the things we were told, is because of the unique nature of it, it wasn't something that was available for them to give to us off the shelf.
Well, I personally would ask that moving forward, when we have to guess, if we could guess a little higher so that it isn't such a big shock, if you get my meaning, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we want more accuracy. I don't think that's unfair to ask or expect.
Yep. Makes sense. It's always easier to go down than to go up.
Exactly.
Yep.
It's always better to come in under a number than over a number, especially way over a number.
I mean, just as a point of reference, this is a pay application, not the change order. So I mean, we're saying,
I get it,
you know, I understand, I figured the change order would come up, but the pay app request is for $132,000. The change order was actually, was it $14,000?
Just, you know, you haven't been up in front of a board a lot. The only other thing I would say is I would avoid saying it was a design build. The design build, if you're a design build contractor, you're on the hook. You design it, you give a price, and you're on the hook. Just so you know.
Good.
I have no problem with the pay app. I'll go ahead and make the motion.
I'll second it.
Want me to tell you what the motion is?
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
All right. I move we approve, I think it's
Here it is.
Number 4.
$132,949 to Caterberg and Verheg for this payout. Number 4.
Second.
I'm just going to make one remark because it's been going through my mind as I listen to this. I run a couple private enterprises since I'm only a part-time employee here. We spend an awful lot of time on ISO 9000, which is designed for complete customer satisfaction, continuous improvement for customer satisfaction. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these change orders should be creating non-conformances, and that there should be a process within your company to try to understand why change orders exist, and that you're working continuously to hit bids that are correct, or as Clerk DeMarco pointed out, at least conservative enough that you're making the customer happy, not always coming up and annoying them. And so I'm not sure that exists within your industry, but it's the kind of thing that I would appreciate the firm looking into.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Can I add one thing to that?
Yeah.
Just on that same note, I don't have the process you talked about, you know, getting the bid out for everybody equally. That's fine, that makes sense. But I guess it would be nice to know that upfront, if you say to us, this is what we're gonna do as part of it, not, and likely it may change. I mean, it's just, I think it's the surprises that kind of throw us. It's not the business practice. It's not the idea. I mean, I do agree, there's a customer service aspect, but I think that running it and doing it right is fine. I think the key is, I think what we tend here is we tend to get these surprises, and that's what is confusing at times, is just the number of surprises. So if there are things like that where you expect it to be changing at the onset, it'd already be helpful to know, here's a part of it's being bid, but we are gonna have to correct it during the process. And I think we're gonna be a lot easier to understand how the process really works. It's just that the surprises are what really gets us.
Yeah, and I will apologize for that. I should have known this one when I talked to our structural. He's like, oh yeah, it was in the plans. It said specifically to validate to the contractor. I personally didn't see that, and once I told my engineers, I was like, oh yeah, hey, no worries, this is what the process is, but I should have given you guys a heads up on this one that was gonna be coming in, so, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Can I add an additional comment? Wesley Deason, Director of Parks and Recreation. Trustee Hurwitz, to your point about no surprises, I think it's worth pointing out, like, we do have some foreseen additional change orders that we know are coming, that Progressive has communicated with us. So wanting to get out in front and share that with you now, that will need to be considered by this group. Also, you know, some of them are items we've talked about with the railing and the decking on the covered bridge, but just wanted to make you guys aware that, you know, as this project continues, we do anticipate more. And again, there are some foreseen that we do know about now that they're working with Caterberg on to bring back to us, to this group. I've asked Peter and the team and Dr. Julius about moving forward, just taking a look at, hey, here's what we anticipate, here's what you can expect, here's what we know right now. And then additionally, taking a look at the health balance, the fund, where we're at with the contingency, so that you guys can get a larger picture at where we currently stand with the health of the project. So just wanted to share that.
To that point, we all have emails.
Mhm.
Enough said.
The one other point I might make is that we have a lot of big projects that we're trying to work through so that, and there's, 5 or 6 of them at the moment. So I think that we're a little sensitive to the amount of these things, and that's part of it too.
Can certainly understand that, yeah. Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have our motion, we have our support, we're just ready for a roll call, yep.
Okay. Trustee Damstra.
Aye.
Trustee Carter.
Aye.
Trustee Hurwitz.
Aye.
Trustee Prose.
Aye.
Treasurer Moran.
Aye.
Clerk DeMarco, aye. Supervisor Korth.
Aye. All right, at this point, we'd like to go into our first public comment session of the evening. Would any members of the public like to come up to discuss anything at this point? And if you do, come up, state your name and address for us, please, before you start your comments. Okay, hearing no one come up and seeing no one come up, I will close the public comment. We have no items of unfinished business. We have no public hearing tonight, so I'm going to move on to our new business section. The first one is the Covered Bridge Veterans Memorial Presentation. Brent Talbot from the American Legion Post 451.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Good evening.
Well, good evening. Hi, I'm Brett Talbot. I live on Preservation Court in Ada. Moved here about 5 years ago with my family. I'm the service officer for the McDonald Osmer American Legion Post 451, which represents Ada and Cascade. I'm here today to present to you what our committee has done to prepare for the Veterans Memorial. We have slides up here. Can someone advance the slide, please? Our goals were to memorialize American veterans and experiences around the world. We had sensing groups with veterans and sensing groups with others. Many people were involved in this. We also included involvement of Forest Hills Central High School, the Ada Historical Society and the Averill Museum. And I also have to say, like, Progress has been great to work with, Parks and Rec, all those people. We've all been working on this together since, I say, early summer last year. We wanted the memorial to tell a story. We wanted it to be relevant to future generations. We wanted something that would maximize viewing time, and we wanted something that we could tie into the museum in a meaningful way. Also, what we had in mind was youth, young people as the audience that we intended for this memorial. We wanted this to be museum quality, and we wanted it potential for expansion in the future. Next slide, please. You can see the layout there of what's been planned by the architects. So we went through this process, involved all these folks. We went and visited Belding, which has a very large memorial. Some of it's very poor, some of it's very good. And we took some ideas from there as well, and that was part of our process. Next slide, please. The actual design will be a central plinth with a bronze plaque. There are 2 flagpoles, and then there are 2 walls that contain 3 tablets each. And the tablets go from further in the past on the left to more recent on the right, trending towards the future. The bronze plaque has not been fully designed yet. We're working with Lowell Memorial on that. It will contain service logos and the 250 semi-quincentennial ribbon in color. Also, there's a dedication text from Forest Hills Central High School. It's listed there. And the plaque that's there is just a sample it's not the specific one. Next slide. So when we mentioned there are 6 panels, each panel is a 32-inch square of a special black granite that could be laser imprinted with a good degree of contrast. We've divided the area into basically 3 areas. The top area tells the story of a historical period. That's the story of what the veterans experienced, what they did. And that includes historical and contextual images. The center area is polished and will contain an engraving that depicts is basically the only explanation of what these historical periods are. And then the bottom area, which is very meaningful, is we wanted to link this to Ada's history and the story of Ada and its development. So the bottom 7 inches of each tablet depicts what the home front was like and what Ada's growth and development was like during this history. Next slide, please. So these are the periods we chose. We start with a Perry expedition to Japan, which is the closest major historical event to the founding of Ada. And then we continue with the Civil War, and we tell, you can see here each of the stories, we continued on with Spanish-American War, et cetera, et cetera. I'll show you these, but I'll show you the images. It's better to describe it there than here. Next slide, please. We wanted to balance certain things. We wanted a good balance of all the military services for those who participated in them. We wanted to balance the functions of the armed services. So we wanted some things that represented diplomacy, warfighting, deterrence, and humanitarian missions. And we wanted the Ada story to tell about the town's growth and its evolution and the people of Ada. These are very close to what we intend. There are a few changes, not many, but there's a few minor things for blending and certain things like that. And we're trying to, I think there's one image we want to get a better copy of. But what you're seeing are only at a fraction of the resolution of the full images. They will have these titles that are, I won't be able to show you the previews of the titles because I can't do the engravings. But these are the engravings, what the words are for them on the slides here. And we try to include women, children, and youths as part of each story when we can. Next slide, please. So this is the first tablet. It represents on the top the Perry expedition to Japan and the Civil War. The center figure is a 12-year-old drummer boy. The bottom of Ada starts with Rix Robinson, Rix's cabin, Mademoiselle Frambois, the first covered bridge, and the period ends with the arrival of the railroad into Ada. Next slide, please. This represents 2 conflicts, the Spanish-American War and World War I. Specific things we intended to include were the Buffalo Soldiers, Army nurses, chemical warfare, and our allies abroad, and includes President Roosevelt. The diagram of Ada depicts the train station and the introduction of the automobile, and shows a diorama of downtown Ada as it looked at that time, and it's the closest to the current appearance of Ada that we could provide. Next slide, please. This represents World War II, excuse me. It's the only plinth that only has 1 tablet for 1 event per tablet. And the left side represents the Pacific Theater, the right, the European theater, and tries to represent all aspects. The woman with the glasses was a wave that transferred airplanes to Europe, and she was a local resident. I think she lived closer to Cascade than Ada, but it's pretty close. Although the woman below, Mrs. Fink, who was wearing that other uniform, was Ada resident as well. So we tell the story of World War II in images. They're intended to be somewhat cryptic, and there's no explanations provided. They're meant to be a mystery to explore. If someone took a camera and did a reverse image search, these are all readily available. They should come up with matches. By the way, every one of these images is documented in detail at a museum level, and we know where they came from, and we have rights to use the images. They're all public use images, or at most limited Creative Commons. The story of Ada continues with the automobile, and you see children collecting, I forget what that plant is, but it's for Life S, which was an activity that was done a bit here, and showing a little bit of the downtown. Next slide, please. As we go halfway through the 20th century, we depict Korea and Vietnam. That conflict, we include visualization of a MASH hospital, a patrol boat, and most of our World War II veterans have passed away, but we do have many Vietnam veterans in our post. You'll notice we have an image of Ada and a lot of recreational fun activities within Ada at the time. You see the baseball team, you see those really bad pants with the prom, you see a boy stuffed in a locker, and you see the cheerleaders. The boy or young man In the center of the image is 17-year-old Richard McCoy, who is a Marine, and this is taken on his first day in the theater. He's still alive, and the intention of this image is to contrast the life of this 17-year-old with a carefree life back in Ada. Next slide. This image depicts the Cold War as well as the Persian Gulf War. The Cold War images are stark with a high degree of contrast. Of note, there are no people directly visible, and because many people are uncredited for their contributions, every aspect of this image is related to nuclear warfare, except for the space program. And the Soviet Sputnik is depicted at the beginning of the space race, and the Apollo 11 moon landing is depicted with Buzz Aldrin there as the end of the space race. The Persian Gulf War features a number of images there, nothing specific. And then below in Ada, we depict our centennial event to tie into the semi-quincentennial. It starts with a Minutemen near Independence Hall in Philadelphia that merges into the old post office. The Michigan Classic license plate is there to cue viewers into the year. And then we have a few visuals. And this is intended to show and kind of finalize a view of the old Ada. So this is meant to depict Ada prior to its recent transformation. Next slide, please. This represents the 21st century and all the actions thereof, starting with September 11th. And it includes humanitarian images and also the accession into space as a domain with the establishment of the Space Force. Three of these images are pictures I took in Iraq. The images of Ada show the new downtown. We are looking at trying to substitute one of the or two of the images to images that may show these structures, but also show people. We'd like to show more people in the images if we can get good copies. So these are some that might change a little bit. But we tried to get some of the new great stuff for the downtown in here. Next slide, please. Also, we plan a museum tie-in. This is something for later, and this is a function of the museum. One of the things we thought would be great was to employ a QR code at the memorial so that people can go on their phone and can see every image explained, or even a verbal narrative. So you can go and say, oh, this is what the story is. And so I'm supposed to be writing down a narrative going through all of these and explaining in detail what they all are. So every image has an explanation, and it ties into the museum that works on everyone's phone. Also, I think they plan some sort of exhibit at some point related to this in the future when the memorial is built. Next slide, please. And that's all I have to present to you. Do you have any questions or comments?
Very well done.
Yeah, I was going to say that this is far more impressive, and a lot more work was put into it than I imagined was going to be done. It's beautiful.
I think I probably put about 200 hours into this.
Oh, well, you're to be very much complimented because it's really going to be special once it's finished.
Yeah, I think so.
This reminds me of the Statue of Liberty. In there are plaques like this. When you walk around the whole thing, it tells the whole story of the Statue of Liberty from conception to being placed. It's fantastic.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your attention.
Thank you
very
for all
much.
your work.
Okay. I'm going to move on now to the next item, which is our consider the approval of a Metro Act permit application from Metro FiberNet. Is there someone here to come up and discuss that?
Yeah, so I'll, Supervisor Korth, I'll start and then I'll introduce Brad Coffey with MetroNet, or Metro FiberNet. So the township has the ability through the Metro Act that governs right-of-way applications in the state of Michigan. And so the township works with the road commission because the road commission technically, owns the right-of-way, but we partner with them to make sure we understand what's going on in the right-of-way. And so we received this application. We reviewed it with legal counsel, reviewed it with the Kent County Road Commission. I've included images of the locations they're looking at. I want to say it was about 95,000 linear feet of fiber they're gonna be putting in. But I'm happy to turn it over to Mr. Coffey, and he can explain more and answer any questions.
Yeah, so currently we are looking to move into Ada as we further our expansion from the Grand Rapids metro area. We've built most of the Grand Rapids area over the last 3 years with great success and great customer penetration rates. So now we are looking to come out here to Ada. We've had a lot of inquiries from Amway and a couple of the other larger businesses out here. So we're looking to come out here and put our fiber in the ground to service the residents and the businesses of your town.
So do you directly compete with like Verizon and
Yes, sir. As of July 1st last year, we did a joint venture with T-Mobile. So now as you'll see our logo say T-Fiber,
Right.
built by Metronet. So we are Metronet, we are still a privately owned company. We are a wholesale for T-Mobile. So once we are done with the construction, the residents and businesses have an opportunity to get a T-Mobile internet to their home or business.
Okay.
And then there's bundles options, and if you got cellular, you get the home internet.
do you have, looking at the maps that I was looking at about where you're gonna be going, you're clearly focusing on our highest density areas?
Yes.
And do you have plans to try to do more of the township, or is that not on the cards
So
right now?
as Metronet is a privately owned company, we look at the higher density first. With T-Mobile now as one of our big backers, they're digging into the more less dense areas to look at that cost. But as a privately owned company, we look at the cost per pass and our IRR and stuff, and we do what made sense. But now that we've got the bigger company behind us, they're gonna do what they wanna do and just tell us where to build.
Okay, so there's a chance that
There's
maybe
a
an
very strong
expansion for
chance.
us too as well. Okay, all right, thank you.
Typically, we stayed away from other competitors like AT&T Fiber and stuff like that. T-Fiber, we're going right in the middle of them.
Right. Yeah, all I can say is that competitive opportunities for additional ways of getting to the internet is nothing but music to my ears, so.
I mean, with the large corporations and businesses out here with our bandwidth, it's gonna be time saving and everything else for them as well.
So what's the build-out period, do you think? When
So
would it
we're-
go live, or?
So we're looking to start building in May. And we come in, we're gonna start up, come down the main road, and then we're gonna start building what we call an LCP, local convergence point, along that main fiber path. So as we're building the main fiber feed, we're gonna be building the neighborhoods around it. And I look to release for sales and service, one of my first areas end of July, and the rest of the town in the month of August. 95 feet sounds like a lot, but we do that every week.
Okay, great. Does anyone have any questions for them?
This is obviously done at your expense at this point,
Absolutely.
and your return is the customers.
Actually, our return is giving the customers to T-Mobile.
Right.
If anybody has any questions on the construction process,
Is it pretty non-invasive in the sense that you're tunneling, pretty much? It's
so
not
we
gonna-
are gonna directional bore, and we do miss a few small things in like cul-de-sacs and stuff where we can't really get the big machines in. But yeah, everything is directional bored, so you're gonna see the holes. I'm gonna tell you, we're gonna come in like a hurricane. We're gonna dig holes, we're gonna make a lot of mess, but when we leave, you come back in a couple weeks, you won't even know we were there.
Okay, so how are we gonna communicate that to the neighborhoods?
Yeah, once we have a schedule, we can make sure we communicate, not only with neighborhood associations, using our website, social media, all of our tools necessary to work through what specific neighborhoods, what timelines, just so that we can try to stay ahead of it as much as we can.
And I can get you some links and some documentation. We have our own construction website. 45 days before we even come into the neighborhood, everybody in that neighborhood is gonna get a mailer. It says, we're Metronet, we're coming. It's gonna be a QR code. It takes them straight to our construction website with YouTube links on what a directional drill is. What are we doing? Why is there so many holes? It's gonna take them through the entire construction process. And then 2 weeks before we come there, we send them another mailer.
When you say everybody's going to get a mailer, how are you gonna, like, who are you sending these to and how are you
To the
sending?
residents.
Okay, how are you, I mean, you have addresses and all that?
Yep, we just basically just go into Google and we Google the streets and
Okay,
get the addresses right out of Google, and we just say to the resident. We don't know their names, we don't know who
Right,
they are.
right,
It's
right.
just, a mailer, like any other company would send out. But we send that twice, and then what we do is before we come, if the city allows it, we'll put a little, what we call them lollipops. It's a little pesticide sign, if you've seen it in your yard, and it's got the same QR code. It takes them straight to our website. And the beautiful thing about our website, it also directs them to us with any questions. They can create a ticket right there in what we call our footprint system. I have a 24-hour response time to make contact with that resident and a 5-day resolution.
You will keep us posted on each phase, each step
Yes.
of the way, because we do send out residential notices quite often.
Yep, and I believe I'd be working with you on that.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know.
The action is then just to approve,
Yep, approve the permit.
I move approval of the permit for Metro FiberNet.
Or motion. Or any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, go down Pettus too, would you?
There you go.
You guys have a great evening.
Great, thanks a lot. Appreciate your patience tonight. All right, the next item is Resolution R 011226-1, a resolution to appoint Zach Schaff, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, to the Downtown Development Authority Board for a term to expire on December 31st, 2029. Kevin, would you like to just, just come up if we have a quick question. I'm just going to go just over it. Kevin was very instrumental in helping me work through this. One of the supervisor duties is to ensure that the boards have all their appointments and that present those requested appointments to the Board of Trustees for approval. The DDA had a little bit of shape-shifting and things going on, and there's a fair number of people involved in the DDA as well, so that he and I spent some time. He did a great job of collecting applications, getting the applications out. We got them reviewed, and we basically need one new DDA member, and then we need 3 council members, which is going to be a separate motion. Specifically, I thought that Zach was a particularly good candidate, mostly because he's been involved in the Citizens Council since 2017. He's an architect. He's involved directly within the community and has been within the community church. And I just think it's a good fit when you have architects on your DDA board. I think that's a good opportunity. So I'm hoping you all agree and that you would appoint him.
I could speak to that a little bit. So good evening, Supervisor Korth, and then to the rest of the Township Board, Kevin Oster, DDA Director. So yes, earlier this year you guys did reappoint Jeremy Frost and Lindsay Vogel because their terms did expire at the end of December. And then we were notified by Margaret Idema, who is our one required resident member of the DDA board. So because we have over 100 people living in the DDA, statute requires that we do have one of those board members as a resident that is a resident inside of the DDA district. So Margaret had served stupendously basically on the DDA board for many years. She was a great add, and she had recently felt that she wanted to give some room for other people to serve in that role for the DDA board. So she was our resident member. So this, I was instructed by our DDA board to send out a mailer to all the residences inside of the DDA to notify them of the opportunity, as well as sharing it on our website and our Facebook. And I received 7 applications, both for the Citizens Council, which is a body inside of the DDA, and then also the DDA board. So I submitted those with my recommendations to Supervisor Korth, and we met and discussed some of those candidates. Zach Schaff has been at almost every one of our public engagement meetings this past summer, and we've had a few, whether that was the parking plan, the Township Hall design study, some responding to zoning surveys and things like that. I ran into him multiple times in line for tacos at the farmer's market. He lives right across the street. He built on his family's land, I believe it was, his dad's land or land there across from the community church. So I've had some great conversations with him. He is very much invested. So that was our recommendation, and Supervisor Korth concurred. So.
I know Zach a little bit. I think it's a great choice. I'll make a motion to approve the resolution to appoint Zach Schaff to the DDA board for a 4-year term to expire on 12/31/2029.
Motion, we have our support. Any other comments from anyone? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now the second one is R011226-2. It's a resolution to appoint Teresa Dunk, Julie Jander Noah, and Michael Garbati to the Downtown Development Authority Citizens Council. These folks were the ones that also submitted their applications to Kevin and myself. They're included here. And honestly, we had, I don't think that it was, it was tough to pick. All the candidates, honestly, were worthy of being picked. They want to give their time, their energy to be involved. They all have impressive credentials. And we're just happy that we have people participating. And so consequently, I believe they're all good candidates.
And for those of you that aren't familiar with the Citizens Council, because we have 100 people living in the DDA, there are a lot of places that don't have that number. We are required by statute to have a Citizens Council composed of all residents living inside the DDA that are required to meet intermittently. There is no specific amount of time, but we meet quarterly to discuss the actions of the DDA board. So I will give them the most recent DDA board packet with relevant materials for them. They'll tell us about, it's a fantastic feedback loop for us to get feedback from the residents living in the DDA about different actions, different initiatives, events, things like that. So we haven't had 9 members for a while. There's been some flow in and out because there's no real legislative requirement or action for them at every meeting. It's usually just an update until we update our TIF plan and our DDA development plan. When we do that, then it is required that they recommend approval of that plan. So they don't have any real legislative requirement under that until we do that. So we meet with them quarterly to update them on DDA action. The current council members are there. You can see, minus Zach Schaff, who will be out. Margaret will still be fulfilling in that role. Julie Jander Noah lives up here in River Point. We wanted to make sure that they were involved and get them inside this process so that we can hear the voice of the people in River Point. And then Teresa Junka lives right next to Margaret. And then Michael Garbati just recently moved in after living for some amount of time in the Village East Apartments. He recently moved in about 3 houses down right next to the Township Hall here in the gray and black house right there. So.
Someone entertain a motion or other questions?
I'll move that we approve the resolution appointing Teresa Junkic, Julie Jandernoa, and Michael Garbati to the DDA Citizens Council.
Support.
We have our motion, we have our support. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. All right, we're going to move on to consider the design and engineering proposal from Moore and Brugink for the Grand River Trail Repair Project for an amount not to exceed $110,000. Like to come up, sir?
This is the last time I get to say this. Steve Grunenbaum, Moore and Brugink, Township Engineer.
We still have a meeting on the 26th.
I don't think I'll be here. If I do, Ryan will be here.
Wow.
Maybe it's the second to the last time, or the penultimate. Is that right? The next to the last, I think? Yeah. New word for me, by the way. So you have in front of you a engineering proposal for repairs and resurfacing to the Grand River Drive bike path. It's 4.5 miles of bike path. That was the first section constructed and paved as part of the 2006 trail millage issue, which was sold for $5 million to build about 5 miles of bike path. The thought on this one is it's not milled up and replaced, but it's crushed and then resurfaced. If we crush it, it forms kind of a mini gravel base and makes it a little bit stronger. There are a few sections that are still in really pretty good shape, but we still think if we just did a uniform treatment everywhere for the 4.5 miles, it would seem to make a lot of sense. We have estimated total project cost of about $1.4 million. I think a year ago we said that was going to be about $1.5 million. I think the 1.4 million is a little bit conservative because the first item there for mobilization of $200,000, I think that should probably be about $100,000. But our schedule would be to finalize design and bidding documents probably by the end of February. Keep in mind we had part of this work done last year when the Township Board decided to delay it 1 year. Advertise for bids in March, award a contract April 13, and then start construction May 1 and be done by June 30th. Keeping in mind the Kent County Road Commission, excuse me, will also be crushing and shaping Grand River Drive from Carl Drive up to Fulton Street. So there's going to be some coordination there, as well as most likely some coordination with the Knapp Street bike path that will also be under construction most likely the first part of April. So questions or comments?
Can you explain a little bit more about this crushed and shaped and then repaved versus just your regular mill and fill, and what kind of useful life are we looking at?
Good questions. So the crush and shape, you leave the material in place. There's a machine that picks it up, it crushes it, it puts it back down. It makes it actually a little bit stronger of a base than scooping the asphalt off, getting rid of it, and repaving what's out there. The thing you need though is the ability to raise the level of the grade about 3 inches. If you can't raise it 3 inches, it just creates drainage problems. In almost all of the areas that we looked at when we walked it, and Trustee Pros drove past that day that we were walking it, there was a big traffic jam, I believe. It makes it a little bit stronger. It just makes a lot of sense. In most of the areas, probably 90% of the areas, the path is a little bit lower than the surrounding grade. It seems to have built up around it. So that just makes a lot of sense to be able to do it that way.
How about driveways?
We are also doing driveways as well, yes.
So would this be a pretty common practice going forward then versus a mill and fill, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then the useful life, 20 years?
Well, yeah, that's an easy one. I can answer that. 19 years. That's how old the existing usually about every 20 years you want to do some type of resurfacing though, and that's 19 years old this year, so.
This other method doesn't give you additional life necessarily.
20 years is 20, 25. It will last a little bit.
It went fast. The last 20 went really fast.
I'm giving a presentation tomorrow, and your bike paths are on it, and it's titled "In the Blink of an Eye," because gosh, in the blink of an eye, the time just flies by. 20 years is kind of the rule of thumb when you need to act and do something.
All right, thank you. Anybody else have any questions or comments?
I think one of the notes that we made when we walked all 4.5 miles of the path was, you'd get into stretches where there might be 50, 60 feet of decent asphalt, and then there was just a lot of bad. And so rather than look at patchwork, mill and fill or crush and shape, we really found some opportunities to say, okay, what else can we improve in terms of some of the drainage issues, some of the low spots, and so realistically, we looked at both options. When we originally had this on our budget 2 years ago, we had planned on doing about $500,000. Then last year we had planned for this current year at about $1.5 million. So, realistically, the estimates are in line, so I was happy to see that. It's also good to know the road commission's doing a crush and shape, right next door. Maybe we'll be able to get a contractor that wants to do both projects.
It does both, yeah, correct.
So I guess that prompts a question from me in regards to where those areas are really bad and you're crushing bad asphalt. Are you guys adding material as well if need be?
Typically what they do is with the crushed material, you move it around here and there to get to a proper grade.
And then do they roll it first?
Yes.
Sounds very efficient.
It is. It is.
To get it done in that time frame.
Mm-hmm.
I'll move approval of, motion to hire you, Steve, one last time here, for an amount not to exceed $110,000.
Second.
Thank you.
I second.
Dan Carter seconds. We have our motion, we have our support. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously.
So
Thank you.
Steve, this is your last one. You're going to make sure this is going to be designed correctly. There'll be no change orders at all.
I was gonna say, the motion included that Steve was part of this project. So
None whatsoever. Yeah.
Just making sure, you know.
No trees on this one.
you just jinxed us, man. You just say, ouch.
I love it.
All right, the next item is our 2025 Community Cleanup Day Report. Dennis Brinks, Building Facilities and Grounds Director, is here. Look forward to hearing it. I'm not sure.
Good evening, Township Board. Dennis Brinks, BFG Director. This year, again, was a very successful ADA cleanup days in the fall. Big thanks to Stephanie back there for checking IDs, making sure that they are the ADA residents and no other residents that turn in their trash. We did notice that there is an increased cost for this year, and half of that cost from one of the contractors is labor. So I am looking to get a different type of vendor for the larger containers, and then also labor to do that as well, and compare that cost or a bid along with the current vendor to see if we can save some costs there. All the other vendors seem to be on track with the recycling of electronics. The Salvation Army doesn't charge us anything, but even their production or their donations are going down too. They're called Gaylords, or it's a 4x4 box by 4 foot tall. And those donations have gone down as well. But even the shredding is just costing a little bit more each year, but they're still staying on track just with a little bit of inflation.
When you say their donations are going down, what do you mean by that?
So when the ADA residents donate some items to the Salvation Army, they collect them in these large boxes called Gaylords, and they have gone down. So my first year here, there was, I forget the number, 7 maybe Gaylords, and then it's gone down last year, and then again this year, it was
Just people are contributing less stuff.
Correct.
Oh, okay, all right.
Correct.
Huh, why is that, do you think? We just cleaned house?
They keep coming to cleanup day.
Right.
We're getting better at not throwing things in the wrong places. So, okay.
And this is, one of the large expenses that we do. I mean, we obviously have the 4th of July, a celebration. We do the cleanup day, and I had asked Director Brinks to provide this report as we, work through budget preparation, just so that the board's aware of some of these costs as we look to include them in the budget. As we go through that budget conversation, there can be discussion about, maybe one, whether we can change vendors to lower costs, 2, not accept certain items. There's different things the township can do, different levers we can pull, or there can be a general thought that, no, we like the program as is, we want to continue to move forward or make changes. So just wanted to make sure the board had this information available. Obviously, it can be discussed further as we work through the budget preparation for next year.
So for me, I start to look at, we have declining numbers. It looks like in 2023, we have 448 vehicles, and now we have 362. The cost has increased by double, at least with public services. I think for me, really reviewing the effectiveness of this, maybe it's having it every other year. We started with 2, right? We had spring and then fall. We used to partner with Cascade, I believe, and we've been cutting back and cutting back. I just struggle with spending this much money, taxpayer money, and it being limited to or a declining number of people. So before putting it in a budget, I would like to look into it a little bit more, talk about solutions or reducing costs or something. It just seems we have declining numbers, cost is twice as much. That's not really a good recipe for me.
Treasurer Moran, how did it work when we partnered with Cascade? I mean, was it a different model? Were you more accepting of that? I mean, did it work out better alone or partnering or?
I really can't answer the question accurately, only because I really haven't looked at the numbers historically to see what kind of impact, how many people. There are probably more residents, obviously,
Yeah.
but again, that amplifies your cost as well. So it's just something, I know communities do it. I'm all for cleanup day. I'm there every year. Stephanie knows. And I just want to, whether we market it or, again, every other year, something to where we're getting a bigger bang for our dollar is what it comes down to, so.
And I should have another bid, I should say, or an estimate for the regular trash hauling service. And hopefully that comes down significantly.
Yeah, and that's quite an operation that Republic has. I mean, they're like, they got a fleet of vehicles out there. They have a lot of people. Maybe it's just a discussion on how they can streamline the process as well versus guys just seemingly standing around. Just a thought.
And there's additional charges for their, they call them cans, or the 40-yard totes or 30-yard containers. So we don't know, or we can't anticipate how much trash is going to be brought in. Right. So we have some on standby. So we still have to pay Republic to have those 40-yard or 30-yard canisters there. And if we don't use them, we still get charged for them.
Yeah, and see, that's where with just in time and everything, I mean, there just has to be a way to be more efficient. That's just my opinion, that's all. Thank you.
Oh, do we have more years of data on the number of vehicles? Or you only have the 3 years that we've got?
We may, but I can look into that.
I just find it seems odd to me that the number of vehicles will go down. I can see the change in the mix of stuff. I mean, if people were getting rid of a lot of standalone PCs and everybody switched to laptops, and all I know is the technology stuff in my house is a lot smaller than it used to be. But I can't understand when we have a growing community that the numbers are going down. It doesn't make sense to me, and it makes me question, are people just not aware that this is happening? Or
is it that much effective and people are throwing out more stuff back in the day and they don't have that much junk to throw away? But yet the labor cost still increases.
Oh, yeah, I understand the labor at the end. I understand that part of it. But,
Yeah, we can pull, I know we've done it since I've arrived. I mean, post-COVID we restarted the program. I don't know what data we have prior to that, but I know we at least have, I think, 22 and maybe 21.
Yeah, and that's a good point that you bring up, Tom, only because, I mean, a master plan identified the fact that, people are gravitating towards smaller homes, or people have their bigger homes, but there's less people in it. I mean, their children have moved away. So, I mean, there's probably some demographic information that correlates with why people have less junk.
Yeah, true.
So,
Another thing, when I look at it and I see it go down, I go, well, did Michigan and Michigan State have home games that Saturday? I mean, there's all kinds of.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds of stuff that impact.
Oh, weather. So last couple of years, I mean, we've had really rainy.
Yeah.
People are also selling things themselves. I mean, there's a lot of websites out there. There's Nextdoor, that's a big one, services a lot of communities. There's always ads on there for people, I'm selling this, I'm selling that. So that's another option too. Why give it away if you could make a little bit of money? Maybe that's the mentality, so.
Right. But I'm not opposed to what the board decides. If they want to do it every other year, willing to work with you.
Yeah, we'll track down additional information and provide it to the board, and we can bring it back for additional conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is consider the award of Fire Station Number 1 carpet replacement to Tomic Construction for an amount not to exceed $13,420.81.
Hello, Nick Dewey, your deputy fire chief. With Dave being gone, he asked me to come down. So I just looked over this and got this today. So What we're trying to do is replace the carpet in the fire station. It'd be the training room, the hallways, and the office areas. When the addition was put on to the fire station for the living quarters, that carpet was more of a, commercial grade carpet. It's small rectangles or small squares that, so if something gets spilled on them, something like that, there, instead of replacing the whole room of carpet, we could just pop that square out and replace it. We're thinking that the carpet, we don't have exact dates on it, but between 15 and 20 years old in the station. With all the events that have been held there, there's been high traffic through there. Where, with brats and bonfires being held there in the past, the 4th of July, there's been a lot of things throughout the years that have been spilled on that carpet, and it's past the point of being cleaned. So we are asking for, it looks like Dave budgeted for $15,000. The bids came in. Township was the lowest bid, and they were the ones who did the living quarters in the past, so they know the carpet, how to match it up. And I don't think there will be any change orders on this.
Famous last word.
You're listening.
See Wesley, he gets it.
All we gotta say is no change orders, it'll happen. So is there any other questions for?
We're going back with a 4x4, so if we can, if there is some that spill, we can.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what, I mean, that's why we put it in the other area. They said it's just, you can pop that square out and you don't have to replace the whole room, so.
Well, I'm familiar with dirty carpet and old carpet. Yours is 15, I think, here in the Township Hall. It's about
How about paper thin?
35. But
Yeah.
hopefully we're getting a new building soon.
So we've, I think
it's
it got approved, but the tile, maybe that didn't have to come to the board, but we put tile on the entryways just for people walking in and out with their fire gear on, so they're not on that carpet when, after a fire, if they have to go use the bathroom. So this would be the carpet throughout but they won't be walking on this part of the area with any of their gear on anymore.
Well, I will move approval of the carpet and the bid for Tomet in the amount of $13,420.81.
I'll support.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have our motion, we have our support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. The next item is consider the creation of the 250th Anniversary Celebration Committee. Julius?
Yep, thank you Supervisor Korth. So this year, the United States will celebrate its 250th anniversary. I won't even begin to try to say the word that describes 250th anniversary because I can't pronounce it. But in talking to Kristen Wilds from the Historic Society, in talking to staff, we wanted to try to make sure that whatever the township did, one, we think the township should do something, but then two, making sure there was a good representation of businesses, of entities, whether it's township, whether it's businesses, whether it's the schools, and then other entities. And so I worked with the administrative committee, had presented kind of a draft listing. The new listing is 13 members, and so it'd be myself, Kevin Austin, DDA Director, Wesley Deason, Parks Rec Director, Kristen from the History Center, Lauren Crandall from Baton Collective, Kim Rantella from the Ada Business Association, Brad Anderson from Forest Hill Public Schools, which Mr. Anderson was featured in the veterans piece earlier, and he's a big proponent of history as well. An Ada Arts Council representative, Kent District Library representative, Downtown Development Authority board member, PRLP board member, and then Ada Township elected official. And for the individuals that are to be determined, the idea would be that we would go to those groups and identify who they want to serve in that capacity, who has the time and effort. One of the goals of this group would be to try to align celebrations with existing events rather than creation of one or new events. It doesn't mean that something new couldn't be created. I think there's a lot of different opportunities out there, but obviously culminating with a probably larger 4th of July celebration, but also making sure we're working with existing events,
other activities in the community to try to highlight and work with the History Center and Kristen to do what we can to highlight this celebration. We've even discussed, banners in the DDA that have a logo representing 250th. And so wanted to bring this group together in front of the board, make sure I get feedback, see if there was any concerns or changes, also see who would like to serve as the Ada Township elected official on this group. I'm happy to answer questions if the board has them.
When you say consider the creation, are you asking for a motion for us to
Correct.
to create it?
Yes.
I'll certainly approve the creation of a 50th anniversary celebration committee for maybe not exactly on the 4th, but whatever is needed to fit within the community to the best.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, I just want to, before we move on it, say that the listing you had of the 13 members, I think, is both comprehensive and balanced and well thought out, and I just want to basically say I appreciate the work that's been done already on creating that, so that fabric is quite good. Any other questions before, but we do, are you looking for,
We need
a member?
I would like a member, I would like to leave this meeting with a member so that we can go to the other groups and continue, because the year has started. We're 12 days in, we're behind.
I'll do it. Excuse me while I knock my microphone down, yeah.
Thank you, appreciate
You're
that very
welcome.
much.
Erin, you were gonna raise your hand too?
I was gonna say I can throw my name in too, but Joe, thank you.
Leave that up to, or maybe both of us?
Was anyone else interested in it? Julius, could you work on the balance of that and see if?
So I mean, if the board wants to have 2 members on it, it's more than welcome to have 2 boards. It's your guys' committee.
What do you think?
I mean, I had originally looked at 2 elected officials, but then just kept it at 13 just for an odd number. But this is not a group that's necessarily taking votes. So 14 members is fine if we want 2 elected officials from the township. No problem with that.
Wonderful if you both would be, so I appreciate
There
it.
you go. Okay.
All right, so we still have our motion, we have our support. So all in favors of the creation of the 250th Anniversary Celebration Committee signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously, and we have Clerk DeMarco and Trustee Damstra will be our members that will join that group.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the committee. Oh, Kristen?
Semi-quincentennial.
Oh, that's
Semi-quincentennial.
Quincentennial. Gonna get some T-shirts.
Keep working on that. All right, thank you. All right, so the next item is to schedule the capital improvement plan budget work session. Julius had reached out to us, I believe, trying to lock down a date. I'm not sure if that's firmed up or not.
No, so a couple items, Supervisor Korth. So this is specifically to the capital improvement plan work session. Previously, I presented the capital improvement plan and the budget at the same meeting. Following discussion last year, the board had asked, because there are a number of capital items that need to be discussed, it helps provide context with department heads, explaining things, allowing a little bit of that time to sit on those before we consider that as part of the budget process. So we have included a separate capital improvement plan work session, and then the budget work session will come at a later date. The email I had sent out the other day was specifically related to a joint meeting between the Township Board and the Parks, Recreation, and Land Preservation Advisory Board, which is a separate item. I'm happy to note I received positive feedback for Thursday, January 29th from 3 to 5. I know there's 2 individuals, Trustee Hurwitz and then Trustee Carter, who won't be able to attend. I spoke to Trustee Carter. I hadn't had a chance to talk to Trustee Hurwitz yet. But one of the items we can do is try and record that session and then set up a follow-up Zoom with both of you to share that information so that you guys are up to speed as we move forward. And so this specifically is related to the capital improvement plan work session. So my preference would be to get dates sooner rather than later. So I don't know if everyone brought their calendars or if everyone wants to email me by tomorrow to let me know. I looked at availability in the rest of January. Obviously, if we can't find a date in the rest of January, then we could push into February. But if we push this into February, then the budget work session gets pushed back as well. And as much as I love a good procrastination, we shoot to get the budget approved by the board at the first meeting in March. I think this year we were a little aggressive. We included that we'd approve it at the second meeting in February. And so that leaves us a little bit of time. So if we do need to push things back, we can. But I don't know of the dates that have been provided, if there's dates or times that do work, don't work from the board.
How much time do you imagine the meeting being? Is it a 2-hour meeting, or what is it?
I would say so. I mean, in previous years, I've done the CIP and the budget in 2 hours. But it's a marathon, and I'm pushing to get through. I think last year I finished at 1 hour and 59 minutes and 30 seconds. And I think there is some good conversation, especially as we lead into the PRLP millage conversation, and we talk about some of the utility conversations, looking out 10 years. We're going to be looking at the fire millage coming up in 2027. And so I do think there is a chance it could go the full 2 hours. I wouldn't want to schedule just an hour. I think that would not
2 hours
be enough
is fine.
time.
I mean, we already discussed as a cemetery committee, the 5 or 6 items in and of itself, and that's just one department, so I would stick with the 2 hours.
What I was wondering was whether or not, given how difficult it is to tie everybody's schedules down, that we would try to latch it on to, say, the second January meeting would start an hour earlier or something. I just wonder what the board would think of that.
I'd rather just do it the way it was planned, because there's bound to be a lot of conversation. So I think by just tacking it on to another board meeting, as Kevin said, I don't think it's gonna be enough time.
Anyone else's thoughts on that?
I think I'm available all of those dates that are on the sheet, so.
So, with that said, then it appears that unless anyone else makes a different opinion, that we're all going to email Julius by tomorrow, because he asked for tomorrow.
For these dates here.
Yeah.
Okay. I got something I can do, so I will email you right now.
Sounds good?
All right. Very nice. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to the.
Can we get I would request a motion to schedule the capital improvement plan work session for a date to be determined by me following receipt of.
I'll approve the motion to schedule a capital improvement plan work session for a date and time to be determined by the Township Board.
Support.
Everyone giving their time by tomorrow morning. By 10 a.m.?
I like it.
I already did.
So we have the motion, we have the support. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the department reports. We have several of them as listed A through J. Julius, would you like to go over anything initially first?
Just I touch on a couple items. Pettis Avenue Trail delineators. So on the second page of my manager's report, we've been working with engineer Steve Gronenboom and the Kent County Road Commission regarding some type of separation or delineator between Pettis Trail and Pettis Avenue. And the Road Commission came back with these specs, 48-inch delineator. It's essentially a white post with yellow reflection on the top. They would be placed every 50 feet for a total cost of $2,700. Steve had reached out to me and asked, can we have the contractor install them? And even though it is within my threshold, I said I'd like to at least show the board what we're planning on doing. One of the questions previously was, could we put in a guardrail similar to a road guardrail? And the Road Commission was not receptive to that. And Steve, I don't know if you want to add anything regarding the lack of a guardrail, and then anything regarding the delineators.
Well, they were less than supportive of guardrail. They laughed at the suggestion of guardrail. They said, "Oh, no way, we're putting guardrail in." They suggested these, it would be with green reflectors on the top. It would be every 50 feet. It would be roughly centered in the 5-foot green space in front of the path by the wall there.
What happens in the wintertime with those?
So on the website, you can see down below here, it's a steel post in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
If the plows hit them, they flop down and come back up. At least on the
Ideally.
video, they do.
I don't know.
think-
I'm not a fan of these things, so
Mhm.
it's not. I don't think it's not going to do what we really want it to do, which is to kind of protect the pedestrians. And I just think they're going to get knocked over. We've had reflectors like that throughout the downtown Ada area, and I don't see any of those around anymore. I just don't think.
There's one laying on the ground at Headley and
I rest my case.
Bronson up there.
I know Kevin's not a fan, but
I echo Kevin's sentiments. I'm not a fan of them either personally. I don't think that they're really going to provide the solution we want. They're just more visual clutter, and it's a pretty wall, and we're trying to keep the place looking more countrified, for lack of a better term. We already have a tremendous amount of additional visual clutter throughout the township because of the trails and the crosswalks and all that kind of stuff. And so I just assume not put it up.
Yeah, that's fine. If we have the ability to say, no, we don't want them.
yeah, I mean, this has only been brought up. I mean, we've had residents request, we've had residents reach out and ask, are you going to put anything in between? You know, it is a visual, you know, sometimes when you're coming up Pettus and you're at the more narrow portion. Now in the winter when we had the early snow, it kind of made things easier because there was a big snow wall that separated it. But, I mean, if the board's not supportive, we don't have to do it. It's really.
It's not gonna save anybody's life. And that was the whole thing. I mean, we had one guy crash into a wall and die close to it, not into our wall, but close to it, an accident. And then, I'm gonna bring it up now because of time and everything else, but how many times we have, 2 pedestrians hit in the last 30 to 45 days? Well, we left, okay.
He got his carpet and left.
He got his carpet and left, got out of the road. But we've had 2 incidents with people getting hit, right on Ada Drive. And we gotta take safety as we get more and more people walking around. Safety is no longer really a big consideration, but it's gotta be one of the top considerations. And these little doohickeys sticking up saying it's, people got lights and reflect, that's not the issue. The issue is somebody sliding off or another accident or somebody going too fast and losing control and taking out somebody on that trail. You're only a couple feet away and there's curves and high speeds. So I would say screw those.
Well, I'm happy to not have a $2,700 change order.
So am I.
Yeah.
So, okay, well, we will not move forward with them, and it's something we can always revisit in the future if we really wanted to. And then happy to answer any questions on anything else.
Can you talk about the Knapp Street pedestrian bridge, please? I mean, in your note, you're meeting with Kent County Road Commission and Downtown Grand Rapids Incorporated, and I see Steve's note saying, oh, you got a bid and construction schedule started. I'm really concerned at this point in time. I think this is all predicated on some other projects not going through with their project in hopes of more money would come our way. It appears to me that that's not happening, and I'm a little reluctant to pay any more than we're already committed.
Yeah, so I had met with Andy Guy from Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. and Ben Swayze from Kent County Parks on Friday. Went through the financials. It's about $1.4 $1.5 million short to do the entire, the bridge structure in both the east and west approach. It was bid in a way that the project could be split up into different portions if the bid came in over and there was not enough funding. I did speak to Steve because he had sent me the pre-construction calendar invite, and I had the same question: is how do we have a pre-construction meeting when we don't have the financials figured out? So I did talk to Kent County about that. So they've awarded the bid, but there's outs in the bid that if the funding doesn't solidify in the next week. And so Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. is holding their meeting, I believe, Wednesday morning. They anticipate having additional funds in the ballpark of about $1 million. It would, the township, when we had originally put together all of our trail bond spend, had about $300,000 in kind of held as a contingency for this. And then the Kentner County Road Commission would come in with additional funds because there is a pier extension. So in total, the bridge cost is about a little over $10 million, and Ada Township would pay for about 40% of it. And 60% would be paid for by the Road Commission and Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. And so while the project cost is higher than what was anticipated, the bulk of that will be picked up by Downtown Grand Rapids Inc. It's not predicated on necessarily the failure of another project, so they've held aside this money knowing there was a chance as we've gone through this process. There was one project that was getting out to bid. It was essentially, I think, a mill and fill in downtown, and I think the bid was due today or due tomorrow, and so we'll know that information for Downtown Grand Rapids Inc.'s meeting on Wednesday. So realistically, if the funding doesn't come through, we'll have to revisit that. Either way, we will be bringing back at some point to the board a financial agreement with Kent County, as Kent County has been taking the lead on this, and how we fund it, how we split cost, all that stuff, so that we're not dealing with multiple invoices from multiple entities. We've got one lead on it. So I anticipate having additional information on Wednesday, and once I know, I'll be happy to email the board and let you guys know in anticipation of the January 26th meeting.
Any of the department heads that are here who submitted any reports that they want to come up and say anything about their report, or does any of the board members have any questions for any of the department heads related to their reports?
Just one thing to report. Steve Grunable, Moore Burgent, your township engineer, one final time, huh? We tell people we get to work on cool projects. And I know there's been discussion amongst the board, and not everyone supported the new Thornapple River Bridge. But the question came up, is this one gonna settle like the boardwalk did on Conservation Street? This one is supported by 10 caissons, 4 under each abutment and 2 under one of them. They're this big around, they go down 45 feet into the ground, they're filled with concrete, they're filled with reinforcement steel. It's a very, very hard layer down 45 feet. It's almost near bedrock. They put in a test pile to make sure it can hold, the design load on them is 100 tons or 200,000 pounds. They test these to twice that. They test them to 400,000 pounds. They're gonna do that on Friday. They've got a load cell buried about 35 feet down into the ground. So there's a 10-foot pile, and then there's a 35-foot pile on top of it. It's encased in concrete, and they will be pumping it up to 400,000 pounds this week Friday. You'll know it fails if you feel the ground shake a little bit. But it's just kind of cool, the engineering and what the contractors do, and it's hopefully Friday goes very, very well. The test will take about 8 hours to perform. They think they'll be done and out of there by 7 o'clock at night. So. And the lead engineer on it will then head back to Florida, where it's nice and warm.
Great, thank you. All right, I'm going to go into board member comment. Any members of the board like to talk about any topics?
I had one thing, you know, this time of year, when we have these thawings, all our gravel roads, all our natural beauty roads get chopped up and everything. And I thought about this because I saw a county guy it looked like an engineer of some sort on 3 Mile. And I remember talking about, have you heard anything, Julius, on coming up with a standard where we can have a natural beauty road, but not have it so wide, keep it thin
Yeah.
and pave it?
Yep, so we had reached out, we followed up, and we were hopeful that the road commission was gonna, come up with some options. And so they had submitted a proposal, and I had reviewed it with Steve. I know we had followed up, and Steve's on my list to follow up too. Because one of the things, they didn't change any of their standards. They still require the full design standard. I think it's 30 feet wide, it's clear cutting trees. There is no in-between for the road commission. So one of the questions I had to Steve, and now it'll probably be to Ryan, is, what are other road commissions doing? Is it the same standard across all agencies? Is there something else that can be done? Realistically, I understand the road commission's concern when they talk about, if we increase the standard of the road and pave it, people are gonna go faster, so that makes it less safe. And my comment to them would be, the road right now is here, they want it here, and we'd like it somewhere in the middle. And so realistically, and I know Mark Hunsiker, who's a resident who had made the request for 3 Mile Road, had copied me on an email to the road commission today, upset about the condition of 3 Mile Road. I will say, in the road commission, we were at the supervisors meeting today, and they talked about a lot of dirt roads in Kent County being in that shape from the freeze-thaw cycle and the temperatures that we've had, as well as the amount of rain. And so they're gonna do as much grading and road work as they can, but knowing that temperatures are gonna drop again, which will hopefully make things better, and makes life a little bit easier for the road commission. So it's not something that's been closed yet, but we want to do additional research and counter some type of proposal to the road commission. The one thing the road commission did change in their language was that previously they wanted a point-to-point finish or treatment. So they wanted, 3 Mile Road from the edge of the pavement all the way to Egypt Valley. They didn't like the idea that someone would say, well, we're gonna pave 200 feet or we're gonna pave 175 feet. So they've now moved off of that. So they have changed some of their language to allow for specific sections to be done. And the issue, and I had a conversation today with some board members about it, was, if we just keep taking 175 or 200 foot chunks, the issue becomes every single group of residents is going to continue to ask for that section to go down the road, and rightfully so. I mean, if you're on a stretch of 3 Mile Road between Egypt Valley and Melavia Court that is in such poor shape, and then you see 50 feet away that the township and the development and the road commission have split into funding, you're going to ask the same question. And so we want to make sure, if we do that, right now the road commission has indicated they will not fund any portion of this because they don't deem it a safety issue. And so our hope is that with the continued conversation, with some relaxing of the standards, that could be a compromise to try to get them to the table, and also lowers the cost significantly. I don't remember the exact number, but I think the number for paving from Melavia Court to Egypt Valley, I want to say was 1.8 million, which obviously the township is not in a position to split that or cover that, and neither is the development or the property owners on that stretch. So it is something we're going to continue to look at, and it'll be on one of my, I got to take Steve to lunch and with Ryan and kind of have a final check-in and go through projects and make sure that we're staying on top of some of the stuff.
Dan, I had a conversation with Julius about this morning because coincidentally I had to go someplace over the weekend, and it was down 3 Mile Road. And as soon as I made the turn from Egypt Valley onto 3 Mile Road, it instantly hit me. I remember that board meeting from about a year ago,
Right.
at least. I could not get my car not an inch without, like one whole side of it fell into a hole right away. I had to get out of the car. I could not believe it. You talk about safety. Yes, safety is, in my opinion, the most important thing that we can consider for anything. We've got to do something about that road. I have videos on my phone. I took pictures on my phone. How do these people live here? Some of those holes, you could barely even walk down that road to take photos, and at one point, my foot went in a hole, and it was wet almost up to my knee. So if the road commission says that that's not a safety issue, I want to talk to them myself. Let's go take a walk down there. Let's have a field trip. Let's all go walk down there. How about that? With the road commission.
The issue ends up being though, if they pave these roads to the county standard, okay, people are already doing 65, 70 down the gravel roads. Wait till they're paved, they'll be doing 80, 90.
There has to be a compromise. These
Yeah,
holes are, we could fall asleep in
That's what
one.
that's what we're looking for.
There has to be a compromise, and they cannot say, we're not gonna talk about it. They can't do that.
Yeah, that the compromise is, I think you need a thinner road.
They have to work with us, they have to, and we have to make them work with us. That's it.
Thank you. Any other members want to talk about anything?
Oh, could I just ask you all, before you leave, initial the envelopes that I gave you, and I'm going to collect them. And in looking over Manager Suchi's report, the Personnel Committee, we need to schedule a meeting like ASAP, because we're gonna have to approve the numbers and all that to give it to for the budget approval. Okay? Thank you.
I'm just going to say one quick thing. In furtherance to what Clerk DeMarco said at the beginning of the meeting related to these, the battery centers and the Lowell application and so forth. It was an interesting topic of conversation today at the township managers and supervisors meeting that is held once a month. The people in Virgins are feeling some heat from it, even though it's not happening in Virgins, and Caledonia and Gaines also had a lot to say about how that experience is going. Some of the things that I've looked into is and Julia has said it to me as well when we were sitting there, was to ensure that our zoning and planning is well documented, well thought out, up to date, and laid out in such a way that it's very clear what people can and can't do, and that we are basically not saying no to anything, but we're saying that if you do want to do something here, this is the roadmap that you would follow to do it successfully. And but it is something that we need to internally continue to talk about, and also just to keep a close eye on what's happening around us, because as the supervisor of Grand Rapids Township pointed out, every single one of us needs these centers. We all have stuff in the cloud. We all use it. It's not as if these things aren't being used by people. And with the, I'm using the assistance of artificial intelligence more and more every day, because I'm finding it to be terribly useful in my own working and efficiency. And so consequently, you can understand why these centers are required. But in any event, we're internally talking a lot about it, and we want to keep that on our radar screen. So.
Yeah, and I think Supervisor Court, to that point, I think one of the things that we've felt has isolated us from this being a conversation is just, we don't have significant large parcels that could house this. But one of the things I'd say is, as technology advances, we don't know what that looks like in 5 years or 10 years from now. And so just making sure that we have language that dictates the terms of a conditional or special land use related to that, as opposed to, and we had this experience before where we have someone with industrial land and they come and make the request because our zoning ordinance doesn't include language, so then they make the request and then they lay out the terms. And so, as we work with the planning department and the planning commission and Progressive and go through that process, is making sure, while it's unlikely, with it being such a hot topic, it is important that we do cover it so that we don't run into a situation where we're caught unexpectedly.
Planning director gave me an article that I thought was it was a very good read. It gave pros, cons, it broke the whole situation down into do's and don'ts and whys and why nots and all that. I think, and didn't I forward that to you? maybe we should send it to everybody. I thought it was a very good read.
Yeah, and it was interesting when we were at the meeting that Tom talked about today. So Gaines Township has Switch, which is the large pyramid, which is a data center if people are not aware. And so, one of the concerns or claims is regarding water use and regarding all the different components. And so they had shared, and this is all anecdotal. I mean, it's data, but it was more intended to prove a point. Switch uses about 10 million gallons of water a year. Mr. Car Wash uses 8 million gallons of water a year. The mobile home park, they have 2 of them in Gaines Township. They use between 15 and 20 million gallons of water each a year. And so, again, not saying pro or against data centers, but it is important to have a educated conversation as we look at data centers, much to the point of Supervisor Korth. If you pull out your phone and you've got, 3,000 pictures in your phone like I do or anyone else, I mean, that's all in the cloud. That's what, we need. And if it's not going to happen here, it's got to happen somewhere. It has been interesting. So the right place has been, obviously, as they push for development in Kent County and West Michigan. They've been partnering because Switch has been a good partner to Gaines Township. Gaines Township was set to approve a proposal from Microsoft, and they received, I think once Lowell announced, and there was a lot of pushback, Gaines Township indicated over a 4-day period, they had received 130 emails, and about 85% of them were from non-residents. And then the other 15% didn't know that Switch was a data center. If you go into the downtown city of Grand Rapids, there's multiple data centers in downtown Grand Rapids. You just don't know they're there.
One of the things I thought when we approved the fiber lines is if you're approving fiber lines, that you believe you need fiber lines, it's really to support these data centers. They almost run hand in hand.
Okay, so then I'll move on to, we have no closed session tonight, and so I'll move on to the second opportunity for public comment. Anyone like to come up to speak to anything at this point in time?
Thank you, Kevin Austin, DDA Director at Township. I just wanted to once again extend our gratitude to Brett Talbot. That presentation that you guys saw, that was over the course of, I think, Wesley got me involved in the connected community and the Veterans Memorial, obviously having served 6.5 years in the Marine Corps. When he got me involved, I was like, this is much bigger than me and much bigger, and obviously there's a lot of emotions tied to things like this. So at the same time, we were working on 4th of July, and Osmer Post was going to be our flag bearers, and so I reached out to them, and they immediately hit the ground running. And I remember the first meeting that we had when, after they got involved, we were just stunned already, and it had been a couple months. So what you guys have seen has been primarily them just working together in their group, coming in, checking in with us on some of the content. Kristen being involved has been fantastic, giving more direction and being involved there. So Brett, thank you very much. And, we talked about making sure that there is a recognition for the Osmer Post in this monument and everything, and we're very much looking forward to hopefully staying on track in Memorial Day in May. So,
Thank you.
Anyone else like to come up? Okay, hearing none or seeing none, I will close the public comment and ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
So we have our motion, we have our support. Thank you, gentlemen. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we're done at 8:58, or 48, excuse me.
Hope I don't get any phone calls because